Guys? Welcome back to the XP Podcast Level 8. My name is Rob, and I'm joined today by Adam. How you doing, Adam?
I'm great. I went to Tsushima.
Yes. Can you
Uh,
please tell us about your time over there?
well, uh, it was great. I because I was traveling,
Yeah.
didn't play much PS5,
Mm,
so did a lot more mobile gaming, which they were fine with. They're fans of
that's
the mobile
so I've heard.
consoles
Yeah,
over
so I've
there.
heard.
So yeah, so it was great.
S-
Honored
Sweet,
some
sweet.
Inari shines.
Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. I was if those who are listening, because you can't see, and those who are watching, you can notice someone's missing from the group. Austin is not here today. He's out hanging out with family. So send your best regards to him. What I guess I don't know why he sent best regards, but I mean he's doing good. Nothing bad's happening. So he's partying right now. I think he said he's at Chili's right now. So hey, good for him. Because I would love to be at Chili's right now, to be quite honest. Okay, getting into the show, guys. I'm gonna go through the whole rigmarole and then we get right into it. The XP podcast is an ambitious casual show. This is your bi-weekly casual podcast where we talk about all things video games and bring topics to the table to discuss for your amusement. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or corrections, let us know in the comment section or reach out to us on Twitter at Ambitious Casual, or you can email us at xppodcast@ambitiouscasual.com. And also, if you have a topic that you would like to bring to the table for us to talk about, you can leave them to all the other places, like I said. I'm mean, posting videos on TikTok for like a short amount of time on that day. So if you are watching and you have TikTok, follow at Ambitious Casual on there. And then you can see when a moment pops up. It's usually the day of when we record. I'll be like, hey, do you have any topics? And then you can go leave a comment on there if you want to. Or you can do it on the show notes. I mean, on the show comments as well. So wherever you guys want to, we will see them. And also, lastly, utilize the timestamps because look, sometimes we have busy lives and everything, okay? And you just want to get to the meat. You don't want to you don't want to appetize, you want to get right into the meal. So, utilize the timestamps and then you can find the places that you kind of want to jump into. But I will say this, if you skip, you're going to be missing out on some pretty good appetizers,
mm-hmm.
you know? Like I it's hard to pass up on some fried pickles. It's hard to pass up on some spinach dip.
You know, Chili's
Oh, yes.
has the triple dipper, which is only
Oh, absolutely.
appetizers, and that is a valid option.
Well, here's the thing. I have to fight you back on that because my wife actually gets the triple dipper as a meal sometimes. Well,
Yeah,
she's
that's
done
what
it
I'm
before.
saying. No, that's what I'm
Oh, okay.
saying. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
triple
Cool.
dipper, you know, pick 3 appetizers, a little bit of each as a
Yeah.
meal. That is a
Yeah.
valid option.
There you go. There you go. Actually, that's not bad. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Getting into the show, guys. I put out the call, like I said, on TikTok, asking for topic suggestions, and we got one on TikTok by Thatkidtypicaltyree, and his kind of topic was Warzone and skill-based matchmaking. I kind of want to jump into it real quick and just get right into some stuff before we get into what we've been playing. Spoilers: I played nothing. Adam has played everything, so buckle in for that. Regarding Warzone and skill-based matchmaking, I'm trying to think in with this topic. I personally I love Warzone. And I've always loved Call of Duty. Uh and I actually enjoy skill-based kind of games. I love fighting games. And I have this like Valorant piques my interest. Like that's a whole nother level of like perfection of like Twitch moving and everything like that. Like that's a whole nother level of competitiveness that if I ever had a PC that would allow me to play that game, I would probably play that game. Um, Adam, where are you at when it comes to skill based matchmaking kind of games?
There's probably only 2. I know before all this I said there's 1, but there is 2 actually. So, I
Oh,
played a good deal of Crucible, and Destiny 2 over my years, and that can be all over
yes,
the place. So I don't know
yeah,
if that's a great a great one to talk about skill-based matchmaking on that one because it really varies. But the other one I have a lot of history with, not recently, is League of Legends, and
that's right.
that is a pretty hot topic in I would
Yeah.
say in that community because there's a lot of different ways that can go.
I think what's interesting is I know when you and I first met, I think we had one of the connections that we had was in regards to video games, and I knew right off the bat by you telling me you were into League of Legends. And I remember going over to your place one time and you were actually having like a competition playing on the TV. And I went over for like breakfast or
Yeah,
something like that. And
yeah.
so yeah, I've never played well, I take that back. I've played like a little bit. And not a lot. It's never piqued my interest at all. But something that I find common regarding matchmaking games, and I feel like this can kind of be the overall topic of it. I just feel like, and this also goes into Crucible, this goes into
Mhm,
Warzone, this goes into League of Legends. I think the only caveat with those kinds of games, like the con, is if you don't have a good friend base to play them with, it really destroys the entire experience. Um,
mhm.
Warzone, I mean, you have the ability to play solo. Fortnite, you can do solo. There's other games you can do solo, but if you go in and it's supposed to be a team of five or three or I don't know, and you don't have that team with you, you're just playing with randos online, it really diminishes the entire experience. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say overall, well, I would say yes. I would just say yes. I will say the severity does depend quite a bit on the game. Like Destiny 2, like I don't losing is not a huge deal. Like it's a 10-minute match. It's like I'm going to get I guess rewards out of it either way. Personally, I can still play very well even if my team is awful or just we're not coordinated or
Mm,
whatever. I'm just doing my own thing. You can still kind of like play very well and feel good about it, even if overall you lose. But that is not the case with League of Legends.
yeah.
There, it games can get really toxic really quick for any multitude of reasons, and so having like people that you can play with is really great. But it's also very complicated to get set up and gets messy because like those matches are like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It's a lot more of a time investment, and, you know, if you're having a bad game, like, your team as a whole is gonna have a bad game kind of thing,
Right.
and then
Right.
you just feel bad about it. Because then in
Right.
the game like that, losing is a much bigger deal. Even if you like, do incredible on your own, you still lose, and it's like, "Well, that sucks. My team, da 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 da, and I did great." Um, and people get very upset.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think and that's a really good point because I mean, when it comes to games like Warzone or PUBG or things like that, like you can get carried. People can carry.
Mhm.
Uh if you're good enough, you can do it. I mean, it can be done. I've seen it be done. But you do make the good point in regards to like League of Legends. No, I don't think you uh, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that like one person could go up against five people in that game. You know, like I don't think it works that way.
Um, yeah, typically not. If there's a big enough of a skill differential, and like there's a whole aspect of being like fed, right? So within a match, you level up, you get gold for what you do, and then you spend that for equipment, which boosts you. So if you're the only person on your team doing anything that's worth experience and gold, you could be like you guys could be really behind, but you personally could be like up a couple levels over the other team. You could
Right,
have really
right.
good items, and if you just like are very skilled or catch them when they're kind of already low health, or they just screw up, like it can happen. So
And I think my only like connection in regards to a game like that. So like I played League of Legends once or twice, but a
yeah.
game that I actually really loved and it's no longer around. Like they shut it down is Paragon. And it was a game that was on the PlayStation 4. It was on the Unreal Engine. God, who made it? I totally forgot who made it. I don't think it was Respawn. Um, but it was a game that was practically like League of Legends, but it was from the third person view. And I love that game. Like that game was my thing that I was playing every single day when I could. And it's
Hmm.
the same thing that you said. You can't carry necessarily in that game because if I'm killing it, like if I'm actually doing super good uh on mid, and then I'm realizing that top and I don't know what you call them, top and bottom. I don't know if that's what you
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Cool. If they're not carrying, their load to help out the rest of the team, I man, I never. I'm not someone who trash talks or anything like that. That's childish. But
Mhm.
the disappointment when you're like, man, I unfortunately am just not in a group that can just that can we can work together because one, we don't have the ability to talk to each other,
Mhm.
or the game does not have the necessary communication built into the actual UI or the game itself to help you communicate with the teammates. They got better over time, but it's not always the best thing to do because when you're playing on a controller and you're moving your finger away to communicate, well, you're obviously
Yeah.
already restricting yourself to doing something in the moment. So, yeah, I mean, God, the fact that I'm bringing this up, Paragon, I miss Paragon. That game was really, really good, dude.
By the way, developed and published by Epic Games.
Oh, okay, so it was by them. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. I guess I got it. Um, I guess last question in regards to this topic, Adam, regarding matchmaking. And I know you already have 7 games on this list. Have you been playing anything recently that has any kind of matchmaking, or you've been doing any of that, or have you kind of deviated and just started doing more so one like just single player games?
Um, I think the last thing that I played that had any kind of matchmaking might have been Destruction All Stars
Sweet.
when we played.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That honestly, that's so far your game of the year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, top of the list. Nothing else even close. Destruction All Stars. Great
Great,
game. Great
great.
game.
All right. Well, that kid, typical Tyree. Thanks for your suggestion in regards to the topic. Appreciate it, guys. If you are listening or watching, please send in your topics so that way we can talk about them. As of right now, I put at the top of the show, but it might move around based on where we're at. So, but anyways, thanks again, Tyree, for the suggestion. Moving on to what we've been playing, Adam. Like I said, and I kind of teased it a bit in the beginning. I've unfortunately have not played anything. I've been very busy. Life just goes on, and there's been
Mhm.
moments where I I literally told Vanessa last week. I was like, okay, I'm gonna work, and then the weekend's gonna come, and I'm just doing nothing else. But I'm gonna play some games, and then the weekend comes, and then no, the weekend's like, no, dude, you got life going on, and then this Sunday, I was pretty adamant that I was actually gonna jump in and play something on Sunday, but
Mhm.
my wife reminded me, she's like, the Oscars are today, and I'm like, you're so right, and I love movies. I'm a big movie buff, and so I was like, we need to watch as many movies to get ready for this because I don't like being out of the loop. So we watched three
Yeah.
movies that day, just back to back to back.
Yeah.
And the last movie, which was Nomadland, literally ended the moment that the Oscars were like, I think 20 minutes in. So we're like, all right, cool. We're ready. We're
Yeah,
boom. We're done.
switch
We're in.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready. So I was not able to play anything, but I do have this to say. Deep breath. Tonight, big game comes out. Big AAA exclusive first party game by Housemark. Returnal comes
Oh,
out
yeah.
tonight, and I will be jumping into that and giving that my all. I tweeted out earlier, was it today or yesterday? I just put, "Hello, this is Rob," and I'll be unreachable for the next month. I I'm so ready for this game, and everything that
Yeah.
people have been saying about it. I think you and I we have that. We both love Dead Cells, correct?
I've never played Dead Cells.
No, oh, I thought you played Dead Cells. Okay,
No, I'm
well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
you gotta play it. You gotta play it. So I love roguelike kind of games where you go and you die and you practically have to start all over from the beginning. And I know there's two different terms. There's roguelite and there's roguelike. There's a T and there's a K. And I roguelite, like the light bulb light, and it's not spelled light, but Lite. I believe it's if you die, you start all over, but you keep what you've progressed with. And then there's roguelike, like I like that ball, like Like. It's where you die and then you start all over from the beginning with nothing. And so those kinds of games intrigue me. I love Dead Cells. I loved Binding of Isaac. Oh, I'm bringing this up because Austin brought something up a couple episodes ago, and I mentioned Dead Cells or roguelike games. Don't remember the
Mhm.
context as to why. But anyways, with all that being said, Returnal comes out tonight. I'm so ready. By the time that this episode comes out, I've already been playing it for a while. So just get ready for episode 9, aka level 9. And I would have a lot more to say in regards to Returnal. So, with all that being said, Adam, we are here. And you, my friend, were gone on the last episode. We
I
had a
was.
great guest on.
You
Sunny Cloud
did.
Gaming was on.
We did.
Oh, amazing episode. I loved it.
Mhm.
I missed the fact that you weren't there because I knew you could have brought a lot, like some more questions to the table or add to the discussion. So we missed you a lot. But the fact that you were here, it's been about almost a month since you've been on a show. And so tell us, man, what have you been playing?
Uh, so a lot. A couple of them were like games I played, like, I don't know, basically right after the end of the last episode. So
Okay.
it took me a while to remember everything I had played since we last talked. But a couple of things I did. I ended up going back to Ratchet and Clank now that the PlayStation 5 patch was out. So,
Yes.
they took out or I guess they moved the cap on the frame rate. So it was stuck at 30 frames per second. Now it's at like 60 frames per second pretty consistently. Uh,
Does it look good?
it looks so good. It
Oh
feels
man.
like I don't know. It just feels so much better. And for a game like Ratchet and Clank, where there's so much going on the screen at all times because there's lots of enemies, you're swapping weapons that have all these different projectiles. And then, like, as crates and enemies are exploding, these nuts and bolts, which are the currency, are flying all over the place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that game really shines with the 60 frames per second, um, which makes me super excited for Rift Apart to come out. Which
Yes,
you
absolutely.
know today, as of our recording, PlayStation had a state of play, and they showed a
Yes.
good deal of the gameplay, and that just looks really good.
Yep.
I'm very optimistic about that game. It should be fantastic. It'll look very good.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you
Oh
that.
yeah. It looks unbelievable. It's one of those things. Someone on Twitter tweeted something out saying something like Rift Apart looks like that game that you imagine the games that you were playing when you were a kid looking like. And I'm like, this it's we're so close to like Pixar level video game. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And there's moments we'll get to it later. But I have a question in regards Ratchet and Clank, the PS4
Yeah.
2016 release.
Yeah.
You playing with the higher frame rate. What you played it
Yes.
before the frame rate, and then you went back to platinum it, which is what you have on
Yes.
it. And
Yeah.
so I want to know: are you a fidelity guy? Or are you a performance guy?
I'm definitely gonna say performance, or at
Okay.
least for like 90% of the time. I'm
Okay.
sure there's games. I imagine that when I play Death Stranding, I might prefer the resolution on that one. I don't
Yes,
know.
you are. Yes, you
I
are.
don't know
Yes,
how
yes, you
much
are.
moment to moment action is going on in that game, so I might
Not
want the
much.
prettier views. But like 90% of the time, I'm going to go frame rate.
Cool.
So it was a big difference for Ghost of Tsushima. It's been awesome for God of War, which I think is both 4K and 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
PS5 patch for that one. So yeah, got to go higher frame rate. I think
Cool. Cool.
for sure.
Kind of like a little jealous of the fact that you get a PS5 and already from the moment of having a PS5, this is your second platinum, right? And I'm
Let's see. No, I think that's like my fourth. So
oh
I've done
please.
Astros, counting, Ghost of Tsushima, Jedi Fallen Order, and Ratchet and Clank. I
I'm
think
sorry, hold
that's
on. You platinumed have we I think you talked about this, right? You platinum Ghost of Tsushima and
yeah,
Jedi Fallen Order on the PS5?
yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude. I'm so behind,
I
man.
think so. Yeah, I've looked at your platinums, your trophy list, Rob, and I don't know if you
Oh, it,
actually play video games.
honestly, if you look at my trophies, they're really bad because there's two things that you'll notice. One,
Hmm.
there's gonna be a lot of trophies that you'd be like, dude, he barely went halfway through the game. That is true. I start a game halfway and then sometimes I never go back.
I know.
And then the only platinums I have is Rocket League, and that one actually took a while because the last trophy bugged on
I
me.
saw.
And so it that when I got it, when I knew in my heart, I was like, it should be popping right now. I was like, forget this, I'm done. And then I platinumed Horizon Zero Dawn. It just was one of those games I loved so much in that moment. I was like, I got
Mhm.
platinum this. And then Spider Man, like I think Spider Man is said to be the game with the highest platinum rates because it just
Yeah. It's
lends
just fun
itself
to
to
be in
be
that world, right? And so
exactly,
people are like, "I'll keep playing now that I
yeah,
finished the main story." Like,
exactly.
why not? And I mean, makes
I
sense.
I agree because it's like, and I'm just throwing up an example because I never tried it, but like let's just say God of War. If I had a platinum God of War, then it's like, oh, okay, well I have to get in this thing and I have to go over here and then I have to walk and then get to that point. And when you're in Spider-Man, like, dude, I'm gonna just go swing all across all these buildings,
Yeah.
get to this thing, boom down, boom. What's next? What's next? And so it's so much fun platinuming Spider-Man. So anyways, so moving on, Adam, you've been playing. You completed Blue Fire.
I did complete Blue Fire. So for those who don't know, I've mentioned it before, but Blue Fire is an indie game created by Roby Studios, who I think are based in Argentina. I could be wrong. It might be something else. But it's like this. It's a 3D like action platformer game, heavy like ties to 3D Zelda games and to Hollow Knight. Like as far as like movement in this game goes and how it feels like 3D Hollow Knight. But then it's
Really?
like kind of like Zelda dungeons, kind of Zelda type. I don't know setup in a way.
Argentina.
Uh, Sweet. Glad I remembered.
Got it.
But yeah, it's a great game. It's rough around the edges, but if the like inspiration that I like described speaks to whoever, like I would not hesitate and say you should play this. Like
Sweet.
and they're, patching out bugs still and they're making the game feel better. So, if you haven't started yet, it's like you're probably going to have a better experience than I did.
Yeah.
Um so like great game. I definitely loved it.
How
I
many
don't know if
hours
I'll
did you
ever
put
play
into
it
it?
again. Ooh, I want to say somewhere between 10 and 20.
Oh, that's not too bad.
So
It's
that's
not too
not
bad.
bad. If
Sweet.
anything, I would have been fine with a longer game, maybe,
Okay.
honestly. But it
Really?
just kind of depends. I mean, yeah, if they had like good engaging story and setup to it, I wouldn't link it without just I wouldn't put fluff, right? This
Okay.
game didn't
Okay.
need fluff, but I
Yeah.
would have taken a longer experience. If it had more meaningful content for it,
Right.
right?
And did you play
So
it more so docked or handheld?
mostly handheld.
Okay.
I'll play most things handheld unless it's a PS5 game, which I guess I'll mention. So I have my Backbone controller, so I do some games uh, remote play on my phone just so I could be other places in the house. But I took it with me when I traveled, and even like uh, not my house, it still worked really well. So it was and
Really?
that's actually, I cleaned up my platinums for Ratchet and Clank while I was traveling. So
Not a bad idea to be that's actually pretty smart way to play on the go because you're not necessarily getting like you don't need to rely on the
no,
precision to do certain things like that sometimes.
no, I
So
well, I would say it's like it hasn't been too bad. I think I mentioned before the only time I had an issue with it on Jedi Fallen Order was like one boss battle. And that was, I think, before I figured out like my network situation and got that kind of like improved to run better. But yeah, so I mean that's been great. I've refused to play God of War remotely because I'm like this game I think
yes,
deserves the full
yes,
screen
absolutely.
experience. And so yeah, I mean just like Jedi Fallen Order, I did. It's like I played this game. I just want to go through it again. I do want to get the platinum. So I pick and choose what I do it for.
Nice, nice, nice. Last time we talked, I know you were. I think you were in the middle of Shantae, and now you've completed it. Man, dude, you've been just completing games left and right. Uh, You've
cleaning
talked about
up.
Shantae before, and you've talked about with the golf before. Um, how was the completing on both of them? When you say completing, what do you mean like you just beat it, or did you like?
Rolled credits.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I
I
see,
rolled
I see.
credits. Well, with an asterisk there. So like what the golf, I 100%ed the main campaign.
Okay,
So they have other content that I didn't haven't touched and probably won't touch, but like the
yeah.
main campaign of that game is crazy.
Please talk about it.
There's so much there are so many references, clever references too, to like video games across history.
Yes, yes,
Um that it's if you I don't know, if you're like games and you've liked games for a long time, totally worth it to play through it, right? Even if you just do, every course or every level has like 3 implementations of it. So the first one's like, "Hey, this is the level. It's probably just a simple like idea or like this is the idea that we had and it's probably pretty simple to complete." And you're like, "Oh, that's clever," or "Oh, that's a
right,
cool reference. I get that reference. I
right,
understood that reference."
yeah,
And that's just the fun part. But then if you want more challenge, then there's like a second version which sometimes will be a lot of times they'll just be like, okay, they give you a par that you have to hit. The first time through, you can just take as many strokes as you want. Second time is often a par, or it'll be like a race, or it'll be some other thing, and it's definitely harder. And then the third time, it's like even harder, or they'll just spin it on their head, or they'll take the crazy clever idea that they had, and they'll say, let's make it 10 times more crazier or 10 times more extreme. And so if you go through you know, all 3 levels, it's like more challenge, more experimentation of whatever that idea was for the level, and then if you do all 3, you get a crown, and then you use those crowns to unlock, like, the collectibles in the game, and I guess that's what I would consider going towards 100% is for the
right.
main campaign. I found all the levels, I did all 3 steps in it, got all the crowns, got all the collectibles. So,
Now, when you like you said with the golf, it's very the moment where there's because when I first played it, there's a mode to where it just kind of just cycles through just all the levels. And but then when I was on my own playing it, then I realized, oh, there's kind of like a certain there's either like the beginner's way to just get into it so you can understand it, and then there's the here's the story way. And when I
yeah.
say story, I'm using that very loosely. But it
I
just
there's a story.
is it really? It's been a
Yeah, I
while.
mean, I would say it's not as in like I don't mean in your face in a bad way. It's not as explicitly told as something like Portal is, right? It's a little bit more kind of like environmental I guess, environmental storytelling, right? So it's a
Right.
little bit more that where it's like there's this thing there's this place that you're in. There's
Mhm.
whatever series of events that led to why this place is the way it is now. And you
Yeah.
could try to think about what that is. And then, like, the last, I don't know, not sprint, but the last segment of the game kind of is a little like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so there is a lead up, and you can kind of piece a few things together. It's not there is a story. It's just
Yeah.
one you might not care to look at or think about.
This game has been out for a while, right? I think it's been about maybe 2 years already, 2.5 years.
Yeah, I know it was Apple Arcade. I don't know if it was anywhere before that.
I guess
Um,
the main reason why I'm asking is that I don't know if I don't know if I want to spoil. Like the only thing you'd be
I-
spoiling are certain mechanics, and the kind of
sure.
that's the whole game though.
Or and references like if someone's favorite game was referenced in this game
Right,
and we spoiled it for them,
right,
that would kind of suck.
yeah, and
Honestly,
so
if they decided to play it, right?
right, and I guess what I want to say in regards to this game is you start the game and you're like, oh, this is just a regular game of golf, and then this one thing happens, and then I'm like, oh, what? I was like, what? What's going on? And after you do that and you figure out what that is, I thought to myself, I was like, oh, this is all it's gonna be. Like it's just gonna be messing with you in this way. But then the moment I got to that point, I got to the next level. I was like, wait, okay, now they're doing this, and then you figure out certain other things on like there were so many moments, and I agree. That's the reason why I'm kind of being very
Vague.
vague about all this is because there was one moment in the game where I was like, yo, this I love this one thing and it's in here. What in the world's going on? And so you can tell that the guys who made this game are one, they're like, let's come up with the crazy game and let's just do golf. And then it's almost like they're like, hey, but what if we did this? And then it's almost like someone across the room was like, yo, I like this game. Why don't we do that? And be like, yeah. And then they just literally mushed it all together and just made it into a
Yeah.
great game.
Yeah, I think based off of what we all said, I don't think it would be a surprise to say they do like Mario. They do like the classic Mario in this game. And you're like,
Yes.
"Oh, this is really cool how they decide to do this. This is fun. That's clever."
Yeah.
And then they do that for like 20 other games.
Yeah.
And you're
But
like,
but
I did not see that coming, or I remember that game. So
but the even
weird.
crazier thing is that when you say that, someone who hasn't played the game, they'll be like, "Wait, how do you make a golf like Mario?" And to that question, I have to say that's why you have to play the game because
That's
it
why you have
is
to play the
different.
game.
Yeah.
Literally, if you have an iPhone, you could play this game for 5
Yeah.
bucks, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
subscribe. Actually, for a lot of you who have new Apple devices recently, you might have a free
That's
3-month
true.
trial of Apple Arcade
That's
that
true.
you can hop into, and you can literally just spend 10 minutes in this game and be like, "This is stupid. Why would they tell me to play this game?" Or you might actually, I don't know, catch what we're talking about and be like, "Oh yeah, this is fun."
Right.
Whether you make it all the way to the end, whether you do all 3 steps in each level, it's whatever. But yeah, it's a
Right.
fun time,
Right.
and it's all
Um
just touchscreen. So don't
yeah,
need any
it's very
peripherals.
very
Just
simple.
need the iPhone.
Have you was this your first time playing Monument Valley?
Yes, this was. I've seen it on the store for years,
It's
and
been
I've
like the
seen
Apple it's been like the Apple, like, baby game forever. Like, they've put this game on a pedestal for, like, years. I've
and
never played it.
it's well deserved. Like, I
Great.
mean, I've played I well, here's the thing. There's always this, I don't know, not ickiness or but like this sense of like this thing's not free. I'm not going to spend money on my phone app,
Yeah.
and like you miss out. I've realized is you can miss out on some really good stuff that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you could waste a lot of like I don't know, like how easy is it to spend money in Candy Crush? It's a free game.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
you're locked out for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, unless you spend 50 cents and then you've
Yeah.
done that how many ever times.
Yep.
Uh, I played this because they added to Apple Arcade and I'll be like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to play that game because normally it's like $5.
Yeah.
It's well worth $5. Like
Nice.
it's just a nice, serene, well, yeah, serene, like chill, intriguing puzzle experience.
Yeah.
It's lots of these perspective puzzles, just a very chill. It has, as much as a mobile game does, it has a cool, like a fun story to it that you can kind of follow along what is going on. Um, and it's well deserved. It is like probably the best mobile game I've played.
Nice.
So
Nice. I've been wanting to play it. I've never gone around to it. But I did notice that they added it into like I don't remember how Apple worded it, but it was almost like their classic collection. And so I think it's titled Monument Valley Plus, correct?
it is. Yeah.
Okay. And so like I think the games that have the plus symbol, they're kind of classic games. And using classic games very loosely because you're going to
Yeah.
get you get solitaire, you can get chess, checkers, and then there's Monument Valley or games like that. And I think mainly regarding if it's not like your classic games like checkers, things like that, when they're using it on games like Monument Valley, to me, I feel like that's Apple saying this game is what kind of stood out on our app
Mhm.
store from the beginning. And so we kind of want to respect this game and put it on a pedestal for you to try out and play. So
Mhm.
I don't remember what were the other plus games that they
I
added.
yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now.
Okay, sweet, sweet.
I know like if well, shoot. Come on. How did I get to this quick?
Games.
Okay, so I don't know all these. Chameleon Run,
Okay.
Cut the Rope. I did play Cut the Rope quite a bit back
Yes,
in the
yes, yes, yes,
day.
yes, yes.
Um, one of the free ones but that one was kind of fun. Actually, I might have paid like $2 or $3 for it. Don't Starve is actually one that's on there, which is very I was surprised to see, but it's like the mobile version of it. But for those who don't know, it's like this kind of like hand drawn Tim Burton esque style. And it's like this top down survival game where you could just get kind of like Minecraft, but you just get dropped
Yes.
out in the middle of nowhere. There's like this day night cycle where bad stuff comes out at night. And so you have to like get stuff and survive. And I don't know, it wasn't for me, but, uh, I know there's lots of people who are big fans of that game. So, Apple Arcade, you could try it for free. Um, I don't know if there was a ton of other ones outside of that that weren't just the like Sudoku Plus. Oh, Fruit Ninja. Fruit Ninja is on there.
No, that's been the yep, that's
Um,
been the loyal one for them.
and then I don't let's see. But yeah, so those are just a few. There's a game called Blek, Blek. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Some of these games have the most weirdest names.
Yeah.
I
Although I
actually
found
barely just
I
found it
found
right now.
one that I convinced my wife to download. She hasn't gotten a chance to play it yet, but it's Mini Metro where it's like you
Oh,
design
yeah,
like metro lines, subway lines,
yeah,
and they'll use like real cities and stuff like that. And so they like start you off with something and then kind of like complicate it. It's like, okay, now what do you do with your metro lines? Where do you take them now?
right.
And that I thought that would be something she'd really enjoy. Not a part of like the plus treatment, but they added the Oregon Trail to Apple Arcade. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants just quickly go back in time for like a little bit, you can play
Did you
Oregon
hear
Trail
what
on
they
your
did with the
phone.
game?
No?
So, what I don't know if it says it on the app, but Oregon Trail, they kind of revamped it, updated the
I'll
graphics and
say.
everything to it. But I think what they also did was that they added storylines to the game itself
Look at that.
that allows. Oh, what is that?
I said, "Look at that, that's it."
Oh, that's
Well,
the
I
video.
know
Okay.
it's very blurry because it's not focused on it, but
Um, and so they also added the story to allow for you to get the perspective from the Native Americans because the
oh,
game was very
yeah.
very
Yes.
central focus on just uh I don't even know what the term I'm even looking for. But for those that were on the Oregon Trail trying to find the new land for themselves, and
Yeah.
so it gives another perspective to the game. And to me, I'm like, you can take it however you want to, but for some reason with this perspective, I was like, you know what? That makes sense because
Yeah.
that's a piece of the story that you're leaving out.
Yeah.
So that's really, really dope.
Yeah.
One thing I will say right now while we were trying to look for stuff and I got distracted, there's this game on here called Smash Legends. I don't know what it is, but that little character right there grabbed my attention because it's anime. And then all the little like pictures looks exactly like their version of like a Smash Bros.
Mhm.
What's that game that's like Smash Bros, but it's
Oh,
Brawlhalla. It looks like
Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla. Yeah,
Is it Brawlhalla on here?
I think it is. And so this game looks like a version of Brawlhalla. And so I'm like, oh, I just downloaded it. So stay tuned for next episode for us to talk
Yeah.
about Smash Legends.
It's a free download. It's not Apple Arcade, but it is a free download.
That means you're probably gonna have to buy something when you get inside that
Probably.
game.
But yeah,
Um,
Apple Arcade is an incredible value, by the way, guys.
it is.
Like especially if I mean, there are a lot of games on here that are designed to be used without a controller. There are a lot of great games that are console ports or mobile versions of console games that you can use a controller with, and it's better to do it that way. And if like you have an Xbox controller and an iPad, like you're set, or a
Yep.
PS4 controller and iPad, you're set.
Yep.
Of course, you can spring. I think it's like what $100 for the backbone,
Yeah.
and that's probably I would say the best way to play a lot of those games.
Yes.
Because then you don't have to worry about like phone clips or having to be sitting at a table or something like that. Um, and I'm not plugging this because I'm trying to like farm anything out of it, but
Yeah. Who paid
I am going to throw it out there. They do have a referral program going on where if like for example, if myself or Austin were to send someone a referral link and they bought a backbone off of it, both whoever it was of us and the purchaser get a $10 App Store gift card,
you?
which
Nice.
you can
Is
get a
it a
lot of great
complicated link?
games. I don't know. I haven't
Oh,
tried it. I just see that they're
I
doing
thought
it.
you were gonna give us your link right now on like on the
I
show.
don't know what the link is, but if
Oh,
anyone's interested in that,
okay.
you can, if you know me personally, just reach out. But otherwise, you could always, I don't know. Maybe I'll look up what the referral link is and we'll put in the bottom and we'll get Austin's too. And then you just pick who you
Yeah.
like more. And it'll be
Well,
great.
Austin's not here, so we'll only do Adam, and then you can get the $10. All right. So Adam's backbone referral link will be in the show notes later. You jumped into some Swords of Ditto,
I did.
which is awesome because I've also played Swords of Ditto. I've put in about maybe 3 hours, and then like with every other game, I fall off and never came back to it. So what are your thoughts on Swords of Ditto? Because it's very beautiful. It's a very
I,
beautiful looking game.
I have very mixed feelings about Swords of Ditto.
Really? Okay.
The aesthetic of it is fantastic. Like
Yeah.
very strong art direction, great music. I'm like, I messaged both you and Austin like 5 minutes I'm playing this game. I'm like, this game is wonderful. This is fantastic. It's just a very
Yeah.
like, not anime, but like cartoon aesthetic. A lot of kind of like synth kind of retro arcadey type
Yeah.
music to it. There's a lot of like I don't know. Everything's been like toyified, right? So like
Yeah.
your weapons are referred to as toys. Like you like are using stickers or like your like
Yeah.
what the Hollow Knight, you know, uh version of the not badges,
No.
charms, right? So
Charms.
it's
There we
like,
go.
so it's like the things that you equip on to like give you special abilities or like stat boosts or other passive abilities and stuff like that. Those are stickers. And like all the food that you use to like bring back your health are like a cookie, milk, a hot dog,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just like it's all complete nonsense and it's wonderful. Um this game is technically a rogue light game. Um, and that's probably maybe the biggest problem I have with it, or like maybe the
Interesting.
implementation of the
Okay.
roguelite mechanics are kind of off. This game actually got a significant update at one point and like a re-release. So I think it was initially just called Sword of Ditto, and then it came out again as Swords of Ditto Mormo's Curse. Yeah, I think Mormo's Curse.
Yes, and
And
that's the one I have.
bef- before, anytime you died, you lost everything and started over, right?
Okay.
Which is typical like rogue stuff, but you don't like automatically keep anything. Um there is stuff in the game which I don't know if it's part of Mormo's Curse or it's before where you basically like get so much of a currency and then when you die you can or before you face the final boss you can buy what you're going to get in your next life. And so
Okay.
of the stuff that you have it's like okay, I have enough to keep this and this and then you would start over with that stuff. But then I guess in the new version, right? You only like truly die when you're in the last dungeon or facing the last boss. And then that's where that stuff kind of kicks in. So like if you die anywhere else, you just wake up at bed in your home, but you have all of your currency, all of your equipment, all that stuff, and you just like didn't lose any progress at all.
Yeah.
Um, so I will say up until beating the first boss for the first time, I was really like, this is very, I don't know. I was just like losing kind of interest in it because all of the map is kind of like it's randomly generated, which is very much like rogue like game type, right? Is that the map like it's all
Love it.
procedurally generated based off of what the developers did. The dungeons I hate like that because the dungeons, because
Mm.
for all other intents and purposes, like this feels like it could have been like a 2D Zelda clone, right? And I love
Absolutely.
2D Zelda games because I grew up on them. I played like 3 or 4 before I ever played a 3D Zelda, and like so some of those are like my most nostalgic games. Um and the thing that's great about those are the dungeons, and they're all very handcrafted, and the puzzles are all very intentional. And you lose a lot of that charm and kind of like complication when with these dungeons because they're kind of like randomly shuffled around and like generated. And so there's a lot of things that just like are weird about them. And it's like, okay, I went down this path because I don't want to miss anything, but this is just a dead end. There was nothing here. There was like, it was not worth my time to walk over here.
Right.
And considering there's not a run button, like that's a big deal. Even though there's a roll, it's not the same. There's no run. So it's like, well, I just wasted some time. Uh, and that kind of sucks. Um, but then I guess, whenever I did beat the final boss, and then like I got to buy what my next life was going to be because like the whole setup for this game is every 100 years there's a battle between this person, Mormo, who's like trying to take over the world, and someone will randomly be chosen as the sword of Ditto, and they'll pick up the sword and gain ability, and they'll fight this and fight Mormo, and then like if Mormo wins, they have free reign for like 100 years and things get terrible. But obviously, if the sword wins, then it's like Mormo goes away for 100 years and people will live in peace. So, you know, after my first playthrough where I beat Mormo and then started over, and I was like, oh, I keep my level. That's awesome. Oh, I got to buy all of these things, which I'm taking over. That's really cool. And then when you come back, it's like the entire island is reshuffled,
Yeah.
which is the great part. So that made me more interested in it. But I was really like thinking, man, I'm just going to beat Mormo this first time, and I'm just going to put the game down. But I'm considering playing through it maybe a second or a third run, um, maybe. But you know, so I'm mixed on this game. But there's a
Yeah.
lot to like, but there's some stuff I'm like, this could have been a lot better.
What's interesting is that with everything that you're saying, first thing came to mind. One, if Nintendo ever made a roguelike Zelda game, I count me in on day one. Just say the words, and I would throw $70 to Nintendo. That would be the best idea ever. Um, Now in
I,
regards to rogue, oh,
one caveat: they should
yes,
keep
yes,
handcrafted dungeons if they do that. keep keep the dungeons like fully designed. Make the overworld, like shuffle around, and like certain item placements and stuff like that shuffled around. But like, for goodness sake, just make really good dungeons and
do you
not
feel
try to do fancy.
do you feel like though if based on the genre that they're going for, if they were to do that to the dungeons, it would kind of ruin the whole like it kind of takes away the from the whole roguelite experience.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The dungeons are short enough, and I mean, obviously, I guess if they spent more time handcrafted, they might be more memorable. They would be more memorable, and they might be longer. But and I'm too early in to say, but I've probably only seen maybe 4, like I don't know, 5 dungeons, and I don't know how many they designed for. They might have designed for like 20 or something like that.
Mm,
Because like and there it is a little confusing because there's a lot of like dungeons for different things. There's like dungeons where you get your toys, which is basically the same as like the like dungeon items from Zelda games, right? And then there's dungeons like where you like destroy what they call an anchor, which is like some like is basically like the same as beating a divine beast in Breath
yeah,
of the Wild. So
yeah,
it's like you're not getting anything like equipment wise out of there, but if you do this thing, Mormo would be easier to beat when you face them.
right,
Um,
right.
and then there's like dungeons that you face that are specifically designed around using a toy you have, but it's a separate dungeon than, you know, how you got that toy. And
Right.
so you lose a lot of clarity because it's like you'll see a dungeon on your map and be like, I don't know if that's like the one where I get a toy or that I use a toy or if that's an anchor one. And so I don't know where I was going. I lost somewhere along the
No,
lines,
no,
but
you're
I
good.
I think I think if they handcrafted, but then kind of did the same thing. Like let's say they handcrafted, and I know this is actually a lot to ask for. Let's say they handcrafted 10 dungeons, right? And
Uh-huh.
you're only required to go through 3 or 4 of them in a playthrough. And then like the next so you do a playthrough and then you come to a second playthrough and then you end up doing 3 completely different dungeons or like one of the same dungeons and 2 others. I think that would still make the experience a lot better
Interesting.
because the dungeons are
Uh,
not memorable right now.
when you started the game, and for me, I felt this way. Did you have trouble as figuring out what you had to do? Because for me, when I started the game, I didn't feel like it was very. It's they kind of just throw you in there, and I
Yeah,
honestly, to a point, I was like, what am I supposed to do? Where do I need to go? Who do I need to talk to? Eh, did you feel that way or no?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this game doesn't and like I kind of mentioned with like all the different types of dungeons, it's like things aren't communicated great. I mean, you can kind of just like bump around for a little bit and you'll eventually figure it out. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's like a day night cycle. If you like after 6 days, you're basically forced into your fight with Mormo whether you've completed anything or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, so when you start, off the top, like I said, I've kind of alluded to, there's leveling, right? So get stronger, more health, more slots to stickers in. So it's like you start off level 1, and it's like, okay, great, you have 6 days. Mormo's level 6,
Yeah.
so you can decide to fight him whenever, or at the end of the 6 days, like you can go. You're going to fight Mormo whether you're level 1 or not, or level 6 or level 8.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Um, so and they just dump you in there. So it's like you could take your time to figure things out, but there's also a time clock, time like a clock counting down to like when you have to face this guy and potentially lose all your stuff if you lose, right? So
Right.
there's a bit of communication problem. I only like by chance on day 6 had like a couple hours left, and when I say hours, it's like the minutes are like basically seconds.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I figured out that there was a way to like purchase more time. So it's like, oh, I actually was able to spend some of this currency I have, and now I have 2 more days. Oh,
Interesting.
that would have been great to know, because I'm
Yeah.
like trying to like rush through and finish a couple things before then, and then it's like, oh
Yeah.
no, you no worries about it. And so that's where I'm like very much would say that the rogue light implementation here was kind of like a little shoddy in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry, developers, if you happen to listen to this. But
No.
it couldn't it like did something with roguelite ideas and it was too harsh. And then so they released a new version that made it a lot more forgiving. And now it feels like it's not like it's walking back that it's a roguelite game.
Right.
And it's like, sorry, we don't need to be a roguelike. You can
Right.
actually just take your time and explore the map fully and complete all the dungeons here. And also buy this thing that, like, basically is like, you know, if you die facing the last boss, you can actually get resurrected once for free because you bought this thing, and or
Right.
you could just buy as much time as you want. And so it walks back a lot of the things that they set. Because for roguelike, what's so important is what you set as this is what's at stake. If you die, you lose your currency. If you die, you go back to the beginning. Or if you die, you lose your equipment. Like the things you set for your roguelite are very important in the identity of your game. And
Yeah.
so it feels like they got it wrong and then they walked it all back. And so it's like, but didn't do anything like implement anything new, and so it's like kind of lost a lot of its roguelite identity. Like nothing's
Right.
at stake.
Right, right.
which is what a roguelite is all about.
Right. And I guess my last point in regards to Swords of Ditto or anything roguelite I have to say, anyone out there, if you have not played Dead Cells, I highly, highly, highly recommend Dead Cells. There's just you can even get it on your phone. It's on
You can.
iOS.
I'm
And
looking up
so
the price.
there's that I loved Binding of Isaac. I liked Swords of Ditto, even though I didn't finish it all the way. I like Swords of Ditto, but Dead Cells is just it was this one special game to where it's not hard to understand. It's mainly the fact of just discovering, and the more you learn how the world works, the more you're able to unlock things when you move on. Because then you're like, oh, this does this, so now I can proceed this way. And so I highly recommend Dead Cells. Highly recommend it.
It's
Did you get that price?
$9. It's
Not bad.
$9. So if you
Not bad.
hit us up for a referral code, you can buy Dead Cells after you've spent $100 on a Backbone controller. Or
Just let
Razer
us.
Kishi, I think is just 90 or maybe just 80.
Yes.
So if you don't care
What?
about the
Yeah.
app and you think that the Kishi looks more comfortable to you, you can go that route too.
Yes, and just leave us in the comments if you guys if you say I want Dead Cells, I will link Adam's bank account and you can just go get it yourself. Don't worry about
Perfect.
lastly, God of War. How much have you played of it so far?
Um, I've I made it in out of Alfheim for the first time.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
how far in terms of because there's I don't want to spoil anything, but you get past like the first big section, and then it kind of explains the layout of the whole world to you, and I'm thinking that means there's this many possible areas, but that feels like it would be very long. Is it that long?
It is it is long.
Okay,
Now
because
the
that feels very long, which I'm
so
fine with. I'm having a really good time. I'm
yeah,
think I think Kratos is still level 1 in my game. I think it's almost to 2. There's a lot of things that have different levels associated with them.
yes.
So I'm like, this is I don't know. This seems like
I
it could be really long, which I'd be fine
I
with.
am
It's a great
so
game.
excited at the fact that you're playing God of War right now. I hold that game so dearly because it was so well done. And there's so
Mhm.
like I can't wait for you to finish it because I want to talk to you about everything regarding this game. Um, you just barely leaving that section, you were just barely beginning. You were just barely beginning. And
Cool.
honestly, I think I put in what was close to maybe 40 hours into the game. Um, and so it's a good
Did
meaty
you
game, but
did you
yeah,
beat the game, Rob?
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay,
Began to end.
good.
Began to
Good,
end.
good, good.
Um, I will say it's a meaty game, but only if you make it. Because you can go on and do other things. That may help you with your own abilities or help just unlock things for yourself. But you don't have to go do them all the time. And so
I do them
I
all
have
the
to, assume,
time.
and you do them all the time. Now I do have to ask. You had the fight with the visitor, correct?
Yes. Do you have a q s
No,
you
well,
have something you're gonna say?
I want to make sure I'm not
When
spoiling
he's at
something for
your
you.
house, right?
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
What did you think of it? Because to me, I guess my main question is when I first got to that point, that was the part in the game where I was like, this is going somewhere else. And it was in that moment where I was like, this game is on a whole nother level. Did you feel that way?
Um, I don't know if I would say that I felt that at that point in time.
Come on, Adam.
Like,
Adam.
I don't know. Like the story to this game, I'm just like, where is this where's this gonna go?
Oh, you don't
Cause
know.
here's the thing, like, games like God of War, previous God of War, right? And different things like Percy Jackson, right? they remix like the whole Greek mythology quite a bit.
Right.
Um, which I've kind of like, I don't know, but I learned a lot more about traditional Greek mythology in high school, right? They didn't, go over Nord mythology at all,
No.
but Nord mythology also has the same thing where it constantly gets remixed. You have like MCU's interpretation of Norse mythology. You have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is in the mix. You For someone like me, I have Sword Art Season 2 when they play Alfheim Online that has its whole thing. And so that, in that arc of the show, there's a world tree, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So playing God of War, I'm like, "This is very different than,"
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm missing one. There's something else I'm missing in terms of Norse mythology, and I don't know what it
I
is.
can't think of it. Dragon Tales.
May I don't know. You tell me.
No, it's not. It's not.
Um, if if you're out there listening and you know what it is, feel free to comment
Okay. Yeah.
and,
Please do.
and
Please do.
filling it in because it's going to drive me nuts. But I feel like there's something else too. And so it's like in all of them, the way like Odin or Thor are portrayed are different. But then there's all the other characters of that pantheon that mean different things. Like obviously, like you have Loki and MCU, but uh, I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. But
What I no, continue, continue.
no, I don't know where to go with that. It's just
Oh,
like
so
I have story-wise, I have no idea what is going to happen. I have
good,
no guesses on
good,
any of that or who
good.
the visitor stranger person is, but I mean, I think it might have told me. It's so weird because also how it doles out what the mythology is like through these very like, there's like the I don't know, chess, the whatever things that open up the doors, and it's like there's hand paintings and stuff like that, or these random texts that are very, it doesn't like, there's no textbook that's like very clear what the mythology is. It's all very
Yeah,
like kind of poetically, it's
right.
all very poetically or artistically displayed. And it's like, I don't know who's supposed to be what or doing what, but
Yeah.
I'm sure this will go somewhere.
And that's the reason why I'm so excited for you to play this game because I mean you already made the point. Like Kratos is from Greek mythology. Like he comes from the world of Greek mythology. What's he doing in Norse mythology? Like they don't. It's not like it's part one. Part one of the
Hmm.
story is Greek mythology. Part two of the story is They don't work that way. These are just two mythologies that are on its own separate things. So how is this guy in a different thing? And I love that you even brought that question up because I can't wait to start playing this game. I will say because you already started the very 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 beginning of the game. Corey Barlog, the director of the entire game, says one of the biggest answers to the entire game was right there at the very beginning. You're not gonna be able to figure it out though. I'm telling you that right now. So when you're done, we'll have to come back and I have to tell you what it is. But the biggest answer to one of the biggest to the biggest spoiler in the game was at the very very beginning. The very 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 beginning. So I can't wait for you to play this game and finish it all the way through because I'm
Yeah.
telling you I never I knew of them. I've seen people play them. I've seen my cousins actually had the God of War games. I know you said you played the God of War games behind your parents' back that other episode. And so I'm joking. I don't know. I'm just putting you on blast
I
here.
mean,
But
if they had known what was in those games, they would not have approved.
I'm so sorry. So we know of them, and this game turns that entire series on its head,
Yeah.
and I can't like my excitement for you. I'm so excited that I wish I could be playing this game brand new all over again with you.
I've avoided basically all spoilers
Good,
leading up to this. Like
good,
I have maybe a hunch of something that could happen at the end, but that's about it. Like
yeah,
I knew that this game was about Kratos and his son, and I knew like you play as Kratos, you have this Leviathan axe, which is great, and it is great.
Yes.
One of the best like game mechanics ever.
Yep.
Um and that, Artreus would kind of like help you in
Yes.
situations. And that's
Yes.
and that it's like interacting with the Norse mythology, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
basically all I knew going into this.
Cool. So you've on this list, you practically are done with all these games. So is God of War your main game that you're playing right now?
Yeah, yeah, because like I said, I'm only playing God of War like on the TV on the
Yeah.
PS5. So like I will be spending a lot more time up like in my gaming area over the next month, 2 months. I don't know how long to say.
Oh,
But
dude.
so I'm definitely like thinking about what I'm doing next from like a mobile perspective. Cause it's like I have a lot of Apple Arcade games lined up. I have plenty in my Switch backlog to play too. Like Cyber Shadow I could do next as far as Switch goes. I do have Dragon Quest 11 to play,
Ooh.
so I might do that one, but then on my phone, it's like The Last Campfire. This is supposed to be really good. Like The Pathless might be an option too. Um, maybe Overland. But
Ooh,
yeah,
I
so
love
like
Overland. It's great. It's great.
yeah. So but yeah, God of War is like going to be what I'm especially like getting back into. I'm like, man, this is so good. Like I will
Yeah.
be devoting most of my attention to it
Sweet.
intentionally.
Sweet. I can't
From
wait
a
till we come
gaming
back.
perspective, my gaming attention, I will not
Correct.
not
All
slide
your
on my
attention
other responsibilities in
is being
life.
taken away from your wife, your child, and work. It's always fully on the God of War.
Yeah.
We have to check back in on level 9 to see where you're at regarding God of War. I'm so excited for you, dude. Moving on, we are an hour and 6 minutes in, and I do want to touch on a topic. So, Adam, your topic, and I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I literally had no topics. Uh, like me saying, I've been really busy trying to do a bunch of other stuff. And I always know that Adam has something in the bank. And
Yeah,
thank God you had something in the bank. Your topic, you want to introduce it to us?
sure. So I guess the setup for this, right, is that I don't think it was yesterday. It wasn't today. I think it was yesterday. Um, Nintendo just surprise dropped an update to Super Mario Party,
Yeah.
which finally adds online multiplayer support for just the classic Mario Party game mode, which has been missing since it released
Yeah.
in 2018. Was this a
Yeah.
2018 game?
I believe so. Yes.
I'm going to double check while I'm talking, but isn't that is crazy. Um cuz let me see. And they've only done a patch or an update for this game twice. So the first one was in March. It was March 21st of 2019. So this was either a late 2018 game.
Right.
I think it was a late 2018 game that they patched near the beginning of 2019.
Correct.
And in that patch, let's see. I think that's where they added playing over the internet at all. No. Nope, they just made fixes to the data scheduled for an upcoming release. And then
Hey,
the next update was
yeah.
2 years later.
Hey, they were ready, man. They were ready. That's
I
funny.
don't know. So yeah, this was something, Super Mario Party has gotten a lot of criticism, rightfully so,
Oh, yeah.
for the lack of content and the lack of features. It's
Yes.
been praised because it is a return to form of what classic Mario Party is and been what has been missing in the entries leading up to this. People were not happy. They're like, "What does Nintendo think we want to do in Mario
Right.
Party? We
Yeah.
just plop us down on a game board, let us all move independently, play mini games and buy stars." Like that's what it is. So like in that sense, Super Mario Party was a good return to form where you played on a board, game board, you rolled dice to move around the board. Every round you played a mini game and then you used your coins to buy stars that are on the board.
Right.
And it was great. And it, it was really nice, polished, looks great on Switch. A lot of great um mini games. But there was only I think 3. I think there was technically 4 boards, right? I would say only 2 of
Yes.
those are worth playing.
Yes.
And so you're just playing, it's like, are we going to do this board? Are we going to do that board? And like
Right.
in old games, it's like you might have, I don't know, 5 or 6 viable options for boards to play. And so you're lacking that variety. And people are like, oh, it would be so cool of Nintendo, so easy of them just to drop an update with some new boards. That would be really cool of them. Why wouldn't they do that?
That would be the
And then
smartest thing to do.
it's been 2.5 years and they haven't done that. Now, so the topic I put, on our run a show is, should we read into the timing of Super Mario Party's online update? Mm.
The only thing I could take away from this is that we don't have enough we're not going to get another Super Mario Party in a while. I don't know if that's fair to say, but I feel like if they were putting in the effort to add online play to this game, which when you put that in the Slack channel, the only thing that I replied back was this is a year late. Like if they did this in the middle of COVID last year, this would have been
Yes.
humongous. This would have been humongous. Like everyone would have been talking about it. Now my only thing is I wonder if they probably I don't know if this is a reaction to COVID and them working on it. It took them a lot longer to get it done. I don't know why, but I mean Nintendo really isn't all that great when it comes to online play. But I also wonder if they also were thinking to themselves like if we introduce this in the middle of next year of last year, it can kind of cannibalize Animal Crossing. But I don't know if that's even reasonable to even say because they're kind of two different entities as to apart from each other. And I do also want to say I really like this Mario Party.
Yeah.
It's a return to form because the Wii U one, like the ones before, it kind of sucked because it was like everyone had to stay within one cart, and then you would move along, and that's not what I'm used to. Like I love the N64 Mario Party. Each
Yep.
person's on their own, going around the board, like you said. I love it. I think if they were to if they were to release a new board, then I would say for sure we're not getting another Mario Party for another maybe 3 or 4 years. This is just an online update. So maybe we're not going to get one anytime soon, or this is them preparing it in the back end. So that way, when the Nintendo Switch Pro comes out, they're going to have DLC that you can buy for Mario Party. So you can have something to play right off the bat on your new console and can carry you over to the next one.
Maybe. I think there are a lot of I think there are a lot of good answers to this question, right?
Yeah.
I think I think there's lots of different responses that you can back up with logical arguments and them sound good. Um, you know, I don't remember I don't remember exactly how it's phrased or the technical terms around it, but basically Nintendo's had this online infrastructure. I don't know what they call it, but they've had it for like a while. I don't remember if it's like
Mhm.
10 years, 20 years, some long time, and they've recently come out with a new online infrastructure. I think it's like labeled NX, or maybe that was
Yes,
something
yes,
else.
yes.
And I think the first game that was going to utilize it was going to be Monster Hunter Rise. I need lots of fact checking on this episode.
I'm checking this right now.
Um, and because online experience for Nintendo first party games across the board has been terrible. People complain a lot when Smash Ultimate came out, I believe, about how online matches, like how much they could chug. Um, Super Mario Maker 2 especially had lots of complaints about the online multiplayer mode because the performance was just like terrible. It was just staggeringly bad. Like you would all load in the game and then just none of you would move for like 20 seconds and then it would start stuttering forward with whatever inputs you had put in before then. And it's just a lot of stop and go, not smooth at all. Base like practically unplayable for a lot of people. Um and so they've and even Animal Crossing, the load times for people visiting your island are terrible. And it's like if you have like you're on your island, let's say you even already had one person come over and like a second person is also coming over. For those of you who played Animal Crossing, you know it's like everyone who's on the island stops what they're doing and they have to watch as the person comes in, flies into the island, leisurely makes their way
It's the
into the
worst.
terminal, and then it lets everyone go back to what they're doing. But even for that game, like, and that you're limited on what you can do as like the owner of the island. Is like, oh, you can't place furniture down while
Yeah.
while you have visitors.
Yeah.
And so they've the whole online thing has been a big struggle for them. So my theories are there could be a few. They are
Real quick, before you get into your
yeah,
theories,
go for it.
I do want to clarify. So, NX, that was the code name to the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
That's what people were code naming it. What you're referring to, and you're literally right there. It's NEX, which was their 18-year-old
Sure.
multiplayer server system, and they
Yep.
transferred that into NPLN, and then they utilized it by a testing server load on Monster Hunter Rise, which you're correct on every single one of those. It was just you forgot the E and NX.
Naming
So just want to
conventions. I know
exactly.
acronyms.
They're the
They're
worst.
always terrible.
Yeah. So clearing that for everybody else before we get the comments. Oh my god, Adam doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you.
What a fake
Um,
gamer boy.
so there's so many different things they could be doing. Who maybe I don't know how hard it is to switch stuff over from NEX to
That's
NPLN
super
or
easy.
whatever it
Drag,
is.
drag and drop.
Super
That's it.
easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah.
So maybe this is part of like they're testing out how moving games over works and improving the functionality. Maybe they're just testing out hey, like we just want to work on improved how we set up these online match made game like online multiplayer stuff. Like maybe we just want to work on how we set up our like code for that kind of stuff. And so maybe like cuz they have I the new Mario golf game coming out, Super
Mm-hmm.
Rush, and it's like that game is, you know, going to be hopefully a big multiplayer game. Like it's a big multiplayer
Yes.
experience. Like
Yes.
pandemic is still currently going on. Lots of people have been vaccinated and things are improving, I believe. So but still being able to play online with people for that game is going to be what makes or breaks that game. So having a good
Yes.
online experience is critical. So it could be that they worked out how that needs to work with Mario Party in preparation for Mario Golf, and they're like, "Well, let's go ahead and update Mario Party, right? Like we
Yeah.
did the work. Let's just tune it up a little bit and ship it out." Because then it's like people who own the game can be happy about it. We've
Yeah.
tested out what we needed to on a different game before our new title that's coming out, and that new title will be for the better of it. So it could just be as simple as that. It could
Yeah.
be that they're planning more content for Mario Party, which I think would be fantastic. I think it would be a great
Fingers
idea.
crossed.
I don't think it's what they're going to do. It could also be that they're prepping
Money.
for the next Mario Party title, and I don't think that's soon either. So
No.
it's like to me, it's like probably just a practicality thing. They want to test it out, improving
Yeah.
online for other games, and so they did it with Mario Party. But who knows?
You make the good point though. Like when you mention because that article that came out talking about the overhaul within their multiplayer system, that was this year. That was in February. And
Yeah,
so this is all brand new. Monster Hunter Rise just came out, and the fact that I remember listening to some people. As a matter of fact, kind of funny. They were streaming because everyone's out in their own homes. They were streaming multiplayer. Um, the new Super Mario Brother game that came out with the
3D
uh
Land.
thank you. It was the new Mario 3D Land game that came out, and you can do online play. But the big thing that they all had the same gripes is the fact that it just chugged, and you're gonna land, but it was like it was behind by a couple frames or whatever. And the same thing goes with Smash Brothers. I've had the exact same experience playing Smash Bros. Online. It's just been the worst. And so what's you do make a good point, and maybe maybe they're actually taking it serious this time, or they've already been working on it for a while. You're coming to the Nintendo Switch Pro, that code name, and I'm y- they can't compete with PlayStation or Xbox or PCs at all whatsoever. But I'm pretty sure when it comes to some areas regarding just wanting to be competitive in some sorts, you do need to pick it up a bit. And I know for a fact they're gonna want to with the Nintendo Switch Pro when it comes out. They're probably gonna want to rebundle Smash Bros. One more time, the Ultimate Plus edition that has all the DLC, and then it's a very steady online experience. Same thing with um Monster Hunter Rise. Same thing with Mario Party. Um, Maybe the next Mario Kart if that's actually coming out soon. Uh Talking Pokemon. Um what this does make me wonder though, I wonder if Nintendo is working in the back end on a very heavy multiplayer game uh focus. Like a very I want like is Nintendo working on a very focused multiplayer game? And I'm just spouting things out. These are not true. But it's like, what if Retro was making the next Metroid game and they're like, we want to do a multiplayer aspect to this, or we want to do a two-player aspect to this. We want to utilize the system. This needs to be this needs to be steady. And it's like, okay, cool. We need to start picking these up. Or I know that Retro hasn't come out with anything in a long time, so they're working on a lot of stuff right now. There's been rumors of them actually working on the an F not F Zero, a Star Fox racing game that's practically in the same vein as F Zero, but it's also like that. I'm sure you've heard those rumors. That's been a rumor that's been going around. No,
I have not heard that rumor.
okay, so this rumor has been circulating for a while within the past couple years. There's actually people that were in the inside that have actually said that they were working on a Star Fox racing game that's in the same style as like F Zero and all that kind of stuff. Um, you need multiplayer for that. And so I don't know if there's just certain aspects of it that they just want to kind of nail down, make sure it's actually said and done that way, or it can just be simple. And Nintendo is probably like, guys, look, let's just be honest to ourselves. Our online infrastructure is really, really crappy, and we just gotta pick it up. It's an 18-year-old system, so it could also just be as simple as that. So, any other predictions in regards to what this could mean regarding next gen for Nintendo?
I think what they probably could do, I think the attach rate. So I think that the number of Switch owners that own Super Mario Party is way lower than the number of Switch owners that own Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I
Interesting.
don't think that would be contested, right?
No,
So if
absolutely not.
they do this update, let's say they do add a couple more boards, right? And then that becomes maybe the pack one of the pack and bundles holiday this year for a new
Mm,
Nintendo Switch, Super Nintendo Switch. Okay.
interesting.
Fan of NVC, we're going to make it happen. Super Nintendo Switch, we're putting it out there.
Oh, is that what
Um
is that the name that they chosen?
that's at least the name that Seth Macy has chosen. Oh,
Sweet,
love
sweet.
that guy. So Super Nintendo Switch. Well, even if they don't do the Super Nintendo Switch, let's say they're just still selling normal like home consoles, like that would still be a great bundle in game. In fact, they may have bundled it in before. So improving it, I don't know. I don't know if that makes a difference for families buying it, but they'll have a lot more people recommending it to them
Yeah,
if it's a better game.
yeah.
So
Sweet. I mean, I guess for me, mainly is the fact that we don't know what's going on, and we know that the next Nintendo Switch is being made. We know that for a fact. People who are in the inside with who are working on the LED screens and everything have said that they're already in production. Blah 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 blah. So I don't know if this fits into that at all, The only, and I'm just gonna do a wild, just a wild thing out there, okay? The only other reason why I can think that they're like, we gotta really tighten this is because Breath of the Wild 2 is 2 players. And you can do online 2 players. Now, Adam, I know I just saw a little shake of the head like this. You don't know.
Get
You
that
don't
out of
know.
here.
What, maybe one person can play as Link, the other person can play as Zelda. Wouldn't that not be dope?
I mean, I don't know if I would say that that's dope. I would wait to see how it actually played before I
Okay.
made a decision on whether that was a good idea or not.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we can keep hoping. Guys, in the comments, let us know if that is what you want for the next Breath of the Wild 2. Adam, do you have any last comments that you want to make regarding anything that we've spoken about today? Anything that you want to take back?
Take back.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, I guess I'll just say as of right now, I see that God of War could probably end up being my favorite modern video game across the board. I could see that happening. We'll
Yes,
see.
sir. Yes,
We'll see
sir.
how it goes.
You
Did
still
I
haven't played
mention
The
how
Last of Us
great
yet.
the Leviathan axe feels?
Really good. It's really, really good. It
And
makes a
it's
big difference.
and puzzles with it are just they're wonderful.
You better have that volume up on the controller. Do you have the volume on the controller?
I don't up? I don't know.
Because when you retrieve the axe, you can hear on the controller the whole.
Oh, I mean, I do hear that. I don't know if I'm hearing it from my controller or from the speakers, but I definitely hear that.
You might want to check your controller settings. Guys, thanks for joining us here on the XP Podcast Level 8. Sorry, Robin Adam here. Or you can go find us on our social links that are going to be down in the show notes. If you liked what you heard or watched, you can give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet, or to the podcast feed, and leave a comment down below and just give us your comments, questions, concerns, maybe a
Mhm.
topic that you want us to talk about right there in the comment section. Let's say you forgot, or let's say you're listening and on a podcast service and you're like, yo, dude, there's no comment section on Spotify. I get that. Head on over to Twitter at Ambitious Casual, or you can email us at xppodcast at ambitiouscasual.com. Also, these podcasts come out every 2 weeks. So this podcast is releasing on the 5th, and then 2 weeks from now, that's going to be 17, 19, 12, 16th. So on the 16th of May, if you are following me on TikTok at Ambitious Casual, I will post a video asking for people's suggestions regarding topics, and you can go on there and comment the topic that you would like us to talk about right there. But let's just say you're like, Rob, what else are you doing on TikTok? Well, and guess what? Every single day I've been putting out a small clip of news that's been going on within that day of gaming. So I've been doing that so far. My first week has been done and it's been a success. I'm really happy with it because it's actually coming out pretty clean. And then yesterday I just did my very first video, which it's also not only on TikTok, it's also on my other YouTube channel, which is Ambitious Casual Shorts. You can go over there, follow that channel. You can get all the same stuff that's going on TikTok over there. But I also started a new like kind of series within that called Check It. And it's just me talking about just something random that's going on with video games. So the first one came out yesterday. It's about uh oh god. It's about it, it totally just drained out
The
of my brain and now it's
suspense
coming
is
back.
building. If you want to
Yeah.
know what it's
If
about, you'll have to
if you
check
want to
it
know,
out.
check out on the next episode of Dragon. And so it was about Lost Suicide. And it's a game that was made by one guy and teased back in 2016. And due to PlayStation utilizing the China Hero project, saw what he made and like, you know what, we're gonna fund you. And then he has built a team since then, the 29 people. And we just got to see an 18-minute gameplay trailer as to what he's been working on all these years. And it's unbelievable. So go check it out on TikTok or Ambitious Casual Shorts channel. Until next time, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening, chilling. We'll see you guys next time on Level 9.
See ya.